Welcome, dear students, to our history class of Standard 10th. Today, we will be doing Chapter 5, Mass Media and History. In this lecture, we will be discussing about mass media and history of mass media. So let's begin. Everywhere, every day, exciting things are happening. Each day is filled with news. Millions of people watch TV and read newspapers in their free time. Most of people can't do without a newspaper in the morning or during the lunch break. TV also dominates the life of the family most of the time. It is also a habit which is impossible to resist. The radio is turned on most of the time, creating a permanent background noise. The press, the radio and television play a big role in the life of the society. They inform, educate and entertain people. They also influence the way people look at the world and make them change their views. The system of communication which brings news and entertainment to the populace at large through books, newspapers, radio, television and the internet is called the mass media. So, mass media has become a very important part of our life. It plays a very important role in organizing public opinion. Mass media denotes a section of the media specifically designed to reach a large audience. The term was coined in the 1920s with the advent of the nationwide radio networks, mass circulation, newspapers, and magazines. Have you ever thought of how people used to communicate in the past when there was no cell phone to make a call and no email and internet to send a quick message? What would you do in case you needed to say something important to your friend or family living quite afar? People had to invent ways to send their messages to people who were sometimes hundreds or thousands of kilometers away. The way we communicate with each other has significantly changed over time, thanks to advancements in technology. However, it has not always been as easy as it is today. Here are a few methods that people use to pass their messages. Human brain, though, the ancient Greeks would give information to a runner who would run the information to somebody else. Americans used smoke signals, drum beats, and torches in key positions. Smoke signals were used to warn others of enemy attacks in ancient China, as they were able to be seen from tower to tower along the Great Wall. Pigeons have carried messages to thousands of years and can deliver messages much more quickly than people. They were even used by pharaohs to deliver messages in ancient Egypt. Newspapers have been an integral part of people's lives for nearly 400 years. From the initial handwritten notes to the advent of the printing press, print media has come a long way. Newspaper is a periodical publication usually issued daily, weekly, or at other regular times that provide news, views, features and other information of public interest, and that often carries advertising. People have long circulated news via word of mouth and as language evolved into writing and literacy. In olden days, the king would order a crier to run in the streets beating drums and crying out the important news to the people of his kingdom. Thus, the news would spread among people by word of mouth. In ancient Egypt, before the beginning of Common Era, there was a custom of placing inscriptions containing royal decrees at public places. In India, Emperor Ashoka also used the similar method to convey his orders to the subjects. In the Roman Empire, royal decrees and the information of various events taking place in the nation and its capital were written on papers and then distributed in all regions. In Rome, during the reign of Julius Caesar, newspaper known as Acta Diurna, that is daily events or daily public records, was placed to convey the royal commands to people. In the 7th century CE, royal dictates were distributed among people at public places. In England, handouts giving information about wars or important events were distributed occasionally among people. Travelers arriving from faraway places during their stay at rest houses would spice up the stories of those places and then narrate it to the local people. There were some kings who posted their ambassadors at various places. These ambassadors conveyed important news of their region to the royal court. In this way, before the publication of newspapers, the royal decrees or important news were made known to people either through a crier, through inscriptions, through handouts, or through ambassadors. James Augustus Hickey's Bengal Gazette, which was published on January 29, 1780, was India's first newspaper. People in India were happy to finally have a newspaper. Hickey tried to cover everything that might be important to Calcutta. He devoted many pages to politics, world news and events in India. He encouraged people to write him letters and poems. Hickey saw his newspaper as a forum where people of many backgrounds could voice ideas for the betterment of society. As he promised, he avoided politics. Bal Shastri Jambekar is also known as father of Marathi journalism. He was sure that if British was to be overthrown and freedom was to be attained, then it was essential to awaken the masses, and the print media was the most useful tool to that end. The newspaper Darpan was born out of this patriotism and social awareness. He founded Darpan as the first Marathi newspaper. He was the editor of this newspaper during the British rule in India. This turned out to be the beginning of Marathi journalism. Balshastri Jambekar was only 20 years old then. The first issue of Darpan was published on 6 January 1832. The newspaper was printed both in English and Marathi languages in two separate columns. Marathi was meant for the general public and English was meant for the ruling British. He specifically dealt with the issue of widow remarriage in his newspaper. He tried to develop a scientific set of minds in the masses of uneducated India. This resulted in a large-scale debate in the society and finally in a movement for the support of widow remarriage. He passionately desired that the knowledge should percolate in the society, and Darpan was one of the means to this end. He was aware that the country could only progress with the use of scientific knowledge and a rational outlook towards social problems. The news printed in Darpan can be reviewed to know about the political, economical, social and cultural events of those times which are important in historiography. Here are a few titles as examples. The accounts of expenditures from the three administrative divisions of the East India Company, the danger of Russian attack on the nation, appointment of a committee for cleanliness of the city, remarriage of Hindu widows, the inception of theatre at Calcutta, achievements of Raja Ram Mohan Roy in England. His never-dying talent and endeavour left a stamp over not only the Maharashtrian public but across India as a distinguished social reformer and journalist. His birthday 6 January is observed in Maharashtra as the Patrakar Din, that is Journalist Day. The newspaper Prabhakar was started by Bhau Mahajan. The history of French Revolution and Shatapatre, the letters by Lokahitavadi, that is Gopal Hari Deshmukh, aimed at creating social awareness, were published in this newspaper. Jnanoday was a periodical or magazine which was published for the first time in 1842. It was started by an American Marathi mission which was a Protestant missionary group. It was headquartered in Maharashtra in the city of Ahmednagar. Jnanoday was the first magazine to print the map of Asia and the map of Europe. The magazine had articles on Christianity and it criticized the superstitions of Hinduism. It also covered topics like history, science, and medicine. The news of installation of telegraph used for electrically transmitting a news can be seen in Jnanoday. The news of starting of railways in India was printed in Jnanoday under the title Chakya Masoba, meaning Masoba with wheels. It has also printed the news of the Indian War of Independence of 1857. Newspapers in those times were an important medium of creating social awareness. A newspaper named Indu Prakash supported widow remarriage in a big way. Deen Bandhu, a newspaper representing the masses of the Indian society, that is Bahujan Samaj, was started by Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's close associate Krishna Rao Bhalekar. We get to know about the issues relating to the masses through this newspaper. Bal Gangadhar Tilak started the two newspapers, the Maratha and the Kesari. The Kesari newspaper was founded in 1881 in Marathi language and the Maratha newspaper was started in English language. The newspaper was started and was used as a spokespiece for the Indian national freedom movement. The newspaper was started as a result of the cooperation of Chiplunkar, Agarkar and Tilak. A magazine is a periodical aimed at the general public which contains news, opinion and personal narratives. Journals are scholarly periodicals aimed at researchers or specialists. Coming to the publication, journals are published monthly or quarterly and magazines are published weekly or monthly. In 1840, Balshastri Jambekar published the first Marathi monthly Digdarshan, meaning direction in English. Digdarshan published articles on various subjects including physics, chemistry, geography, history, etc. Trambak Shankar Shizwalkar started and edited the periodical Pragati in 1929. He wrote regularly in this historiographical journal of Maharashtra's history and social movements. Currently, there are many periodicals devoted to India's history. Marathi journals such as Bharatiya Itihas ani Sanskruti and Marathwada Itihas Parishad Patrika may be cited as examples. So dear students, today we have discussed about mass media and we have covered the topic newspaper in length. We will continue with our lesson in the next video. Thanks for watching.